As an IT professional, one common piece of hardware you will have to troubleshoot are displays and projectors. Because let's be honest, even if your PC works perfectly, if nobody can see anything on the screen, it's kind of useless. Let's start by learning how to troubleshoot monitors. The first type of issue that can happen is no image at all. Remember to always check the basics, like is it connected and powered on? You might laugh, but it happens more than you think. Make sure you check both the power and the video input cables and that the right input is selected. Everything from cleaning staff accidentally touching the cables or maybe a power outage at night might make those simple basic things happen, which makes your monitor not work in the morning. You can always try this monitor on another PC or laptop. This way, you can try and isolate the problem. If this problem is with the Windows PC and not the monitor, you can try to boot the PC in VGA mode, since this will load the full video functionality, but in a basic resolution and with limited drivers, so you can see if the problem is software related. Now you might have an image, but you might have poor image quality problems, from screen flashing to the image being distorted, or even weird black spots on your monitor. Let's take a look at all those scenarios. First things first, your monitor might start flickering or flashing, or one color might be missing. The first thing to check are your video cables, as that's usually the most common problem. I always like to have spare cables that I know are working, so I can rule that out right away. Another good test is replace the monitor with a good known working one to isolate the problem. Is the problem with the PC or on the monitor? Sometimes you can boot the PC and everything just looks weird. The resolution might be wrong, or you might have a fuzzy or distorted image. This is usually an operating system configuration. Start by making sure you have the good resolution, preferably the native one or a multiple of the native one. For example, if the monitor is 1920 by 1080, a 1280 by 720 would still look good because they are both in the 16:9 ratio. Also check the screen refresh rate and make sure that it matches the monitor refresh rate, and you might need to look in the monitor menu or in the specifications to find it. Something you might see on a monitor is burn-in, and you will see this if the same image is displayed for too long on a monitor. It can happen to all types of monitors, but it's more common in plasma TVs as well as the brand new OLED TVs and monitors. If this happens to you, you can try to fix it with either a manufacturer tool. I know that a lot of OLED TVs and monitors have a pixel cleaning mode or a pixel refresh mode, or you can try to keep a white screen on for a long amount of time, but it's possible that it can be a permanent burn-in. Your monitor might also suffer from dead pixels. Those are pixels that are not performing as expected, and this can either show up as a dark dot or a bright dot on the screen. This is really a manufacturing defect, and there is nothing you can do about it. Your warranty usually has a threshold of how many dead pixels are needed for a warranty claim. So, for example, if you have over 10, then you can send it for warranty, but if there's only 1 or 2, well, you cannot do anything. This will sound funny, but try to clean the monitor with a screen cleaning solution. You wouldn't believe how many times people think it's a dead pixel or something is wrong, but it's just dirt. Now, if your users are complaining about a dim image, first thing you should adjust are the monitor settings, such as the brightness and the contrast. You should also check your operating system settings. Maybe auto dimming or eye saver was turned on, or maybe it's the battery saver feature that dims the screen on a laptop. It can also be something more serious, like a backlight failure. This is when the backlight inside your monitor goes bad, and what happens as a result is that the image becomes extremely dim. Like, you can barely see anything on the screen anymore. Some screens can be repaired, but honestly, it's not always worth it. Finally, most monitors today also include speakers, and sometimes the PC automatically switches to the monitor as an output source, which, if you want to use your headphones, it can be annoying. If your users never want audio from the monitor, you can disable them as audio devices in the device manager. But if you want to use the monitor speakers, make sure you check out the volume levels on the monitor and also make sure you use a cable that can pass audio and it's configured on the right input on the monitor. So a cable like HDMI, DisplayPort, or Thunderbolt. One of the things that can happen is you try to open up your PC in the morning, the PC turns on, but the screen is black and nothing appears on the screen. Remember to check the basics. Usually the basics will solve the problem. Check the cables, make sure everything is plugged in, and in my case here, I did have a problem with the power outlet. Somehow my monitor was not plugged in, but as soon as I plugged it in, I didn't see Windows, I didn't see my operating system. Instead, I had an error on my monitor that said, no DisplayPort cable plugged in. Do something or the display will go into power safe mode in 5 minutes. Okay, so our monitor is on, but I'm still not getting signal. But this is probably because, well, I'm using HDMI for my monitor. I'm not using DisplayPort. So what do you need to do? And this will change for every monitor. Really, every monitor is unique. Go into the monitor settings and then make sure to choose the right input. If we look at the options I have in my monitor right now, I have a DisplayPort, mini DisplayPort, and 2 HDMIs. Let me pick the HDMI here, but unfortunately, it didn't do much. I still have the same error, and it happens to me all the time. It's probably the other HDMI that I need, and let's give it a second. There we go. We see the Windows login screen. So when you troubleshoot monitors, remember, start with the basics, check the cables, check the power, and make sure that the right input is selected. While both displays and projectors help us display information, the types of problems we run into with projectors are very different. Today, you'll find projectors in many conference rooms, classrooms, or even for personal use at home. Projectors use a lamp or an LED light source to create a very bright beam of light. That lamp produces a lot of heat, and remember, heat brings problems with electrical components in general. Most of your projector problems will be around fixing the image quality. And to do that, you can adjust the focus, adjust the sharpness, or do a keystone correction, which is able to adjust digitally your image instead of you having to move the projector around. Sometimes, well, you might need to move the projector around if keystone correction isn't able to do it. You might have to move the projector in a better spot. If ever the projector just randomly shuts down after a period where it worked fine, it's most likely caused by overheating. Make sure that the fans of the projector work well and clean any dust that might have accumulated in the projector. Lastly, the bulb or projector lamp can go bad. It's again not an if, but a when, as most lamps are designed to work from anywhere from 2000 to 3000 hours. As you get closer to that number, the image will get dimmer or it will not turn on. Sometimes you might hear a pop sound and notice burnt electronic smell when it burns out. If that happens, first of all, wait for everything to cool down before you touch anything, and then go replace it. And again, it will be very hot, so give it some time. Today, many projectors have a warning light when the bulb approaches end of life, and then when you see that warning go on, go replace it as soon as possible. It's a lot easier to replace when it's still working, but a bit less than when it popped. We've just been called to troubleshoot a projector. And if you take a look at the video you see right now on the screen, we have quite a bit of problems. First of all, it's very blurry, and second of all, the dimensions, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like it's a rectangle on the wall like it should be. So let's work on the blurriness issues first. Each projector will have a focus ring on top of it, or somewhere around the bulb. Play around with it. Be careful what you touch to not burn yourself, but play around with it until the image is good. After that, we can go into the projector settings, and then we will have quite a few settings we can play with to adjust image quality. For example, here first I have my 4-point correction, where for each corner, I can go around and with the projector remote, and I can move the corner. So again, I can really adjust each one of them to what I think is right. And I'll be honest here, it takes a bit of playing around. You're not gonna get it right from the first try. You need to play around with them a bit, and after that you will get it. Another setting that you have is the vertical correction, where again, you can play around with the settings to adjust it so it looks good on the surface that you want to project. The last option we have on is the zoom, where I can zoom in or out depending on what size image do I want to have and how far the projector is from the wall. Every projector will be a bit different, but those are the main settings that you will have to do when troubleshooting projectors.